Hi, how are you? My name is Lou Janusa. I work with Direct Advantage. I've had the pleasure of being here pretty much from day one. Appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. It should only be a couple minutes long. And I just really quickly want to touch base on some of the many reports that we can provide to you. This, of course, is not the entirety of what we can do, but these are the most popular features that we provide. Okay, so the first thing I want to touch base on is mapping. Now, I'm pretty sure everyone nowadays can do pretty much all the same maps. We can map by mileage. We run a radius. We can run a radius based on quantity. We can do mapping based on drive time. We can even do custom polygons, where if you showed us a picture of a map and you drew an image, drew some lines on that shows where you don't want to go beyond, things you want to avoid, we can very easily mimic that for you and then give you a count. Right here we're looking at a basic radius. All the colors within the radius represent different carrier routes that would be mailed. It looks like in this map there may be some that we excluded. It could be demographic. Maybe they weren't, the household values weren't high enough, or the income wasn't high enough. Or maybe there wasn't enough members in these areas. So this is a basic view. We can do overlays such as the carrier route, which will help identify which route is what on a report. We can also do satellite overlays. These are great for, if there's, a mountain or wetlands, or who knows, just an area that's not really habitable and there's not a lot of population there. We may avoid that, and this would be a good way to show that to you if you had any questions. In addition to this map, we can also do segment mapping. So if you have multiple locations, we can plot all your mailings, put them on a map, and so you can see how they each mailing will interact with each other and see how everything's split up. So you know that one area isn't, one location isn't dominating an area that should be split up over 3 locations. The map that we're looking at right now, probably not the greatest shot. We're zoomed really far out, but when we provide this to you and trying to show you what's going on, we zoom in much closer so you can get pretty good detail. Pretty much sums it up for mapping. This isn't everything that we can do, but these are the basics for what we have for mapping. It's very, very basic. This one is built for multiple locations, so it doesn't really matter if you gave us 1 location or 10 locations. The report is going to look very similar to this. But when I say segment, I mean if you give us 9 locations that you want to do a mailing at the same time, chances are we're going to build those in what we call a segment map. So we're going to plot everything that you want to mail on a map all together. This way we can make sure that the territories are evenly divvied up if they're based on radius or drive time. And then the report that we generate will be like this, and it'll be broken down. So we can say, Planet Fitness Sample 1, that would be, the first club that we're looking at. We'd have the next club and the next club. And you'd be able to look in here. The list code will basically signify what club information you're looking at, and we'll also put it up in the header. Very basic information. It's your, your zip code, your route, the club, the state, city, county, total residents, the total pieces being mailed for that route, single family homes, multifamily homes. We've got some demographics in here like your median age, income, home value, percent owner occupied, percent of households with children, or percent Hispanic. We can also add things like distance from your location to the center of a carrier route, and that would be represented here in miles. Or we can even add the distance in minutes for a drive time. We have a report has a little bit more information, very similar, pretty popular, and that would be our member saturation report. So this is basically the same report in terms of information, only we've added a few columns to it. The big difference here is this is actually generated off of your customer data. So this is really short. I didn't want to put a whole lot of stuff in here and overwhelm you, so I just put a few routes per location. But basically, we'll take your customer information and we'll basically do like address hygiene on it and cleanse it. We'll standardize the addresses and fix any little errors in spelling. If there's a missing zip code, all that stuff will be added back in. But most importantly, we append a whole bunch of information that you typically don't have. And one of the key pieces of information is the carrier route. So we're able to put in, make sure the zip code's right, and then we add in the carrier route, and then we can also determine how many members are in each unique carrier route. Once we've done so, we take all those carrier routes, whether there's 1 or 100 members in it, and we'll run that in our mapping system. And what that'll do is give us a report, just kind of like what we just looked at, with every single route that you have that has at least 1 member in it. From there, we may knock off, some of the one members and 2 members, depending on how mature the club is. We really just want to give you the information you want to see, so we'll weed out the junk. And once we've done so, we'll put it in order by customer saturation percentage, which is this column. So what we've done is we're going to take your customer information after we get this report, and we'll merge the 2 together. So we'll know how many customers are in each route, and then we'll actually take a look at the total pieces in a route. So for instance, this one is 122 homes. You have 120 single family and 2 multifamily, and we'll divide 29 by the 122, which will give us 23.77% saturation. So what we're looking at are members to homes and determining how many members to homes each route is yielding. That allows us to grade this with a percentage and determine which routes perform the best. Makes it, if you have a quantity that you want to mail, this is a great way to start if you don't know where you want to mail, you don't know where your key routes are. And then what we would do is we'll do a mailing, and then if you'd like, we can take the members that you obtained from that mailing, so we can actually do a matchback report and determine where your members came from that promotion. And we can compare it to this. We can do basically the same exact thing, just based on the new members, and determine what routes didn't perform and which ones performed great. And let's say we had a few routes that didn't, they definitely underperformed. We can remove those and add some, the next best routes in and see how those perform. So it's a pretty solid way to, determine where to mail. Another report a lot of customers like is the ROI report. It's pretty simple and right to the point. We have the month of the mailing, then we'll have your club, total quantity mailed, how many new members you've got out of the mailing, the percent of acquisition, what the mailing cost you, and then we have it broken down here. We have all the different types of members, and this customer will provide us with their values. So that's what we'll run the members against to determine the total revenue. Once all that information is figured out, it's all tallied up over here. So you'll see the cost per new member, total revenue, and then your return on investment. So that pretty much sums it up for our basic reports. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to go over today is our 3D member plotting. So we will take all of your customer records, we'll import them into a Excel file, format them as a pivot table, and then we can make a 3D map. So essentially what would happen is we'd build this, we email you the Excel file, you click on insert, you hit 3D, you hit open 3D map, and you'll be presented with something that looks similar to this. Now each one of these locations that or each one of these colors that you're seeing is a different location. This map is great because we can see how the locations are working together, and the territories. Gives us an idea whether you're doing a mailing, if you should have one location listed on the mailer or if you should have multiple locations listed on the mailer. If you're trying to market it, it kind of tells you where the members are coming from each location. So if you wanted, we can look at these maps and stay within the borders. So this map right now, this view probably looks pretty cool, better than most things you've seen, but what really brings us to life is we can zoom into this, and you can really, you can see the streets, you can see the members. You'll notice again, some are different colors. We established what that is, different locations, and you can see over here, like this address, we have one member here from one location, and then we have 4 members from a different location. So there's a total of 5 members in this household that go to a Planet Fitness gym. And same thing over here. We've got 1, 2, and then we've got this huge one. There's 8 people at this address that go to a specific club. So this is a really cool map. It's very intuitive. It's fun to move around it and kind of see where everything is coming from. We can turn this information on, or we can leave it off. Well, we can set up layers over here, and you just come over to the layer and turn basically whatever information on that you want. So we can turn off the member information, and then we can turn it into a heat map. The heat map would allow us to zoom in, and we can adjust the angle on it and kind of see where the popular areas are. The thing about a heat map is it really is based on the the zoom rate and the angle, basically the information that you're looking at. The closer you zoom in, the more intricate it becomes. So to me, a heat map is kind of in relationship to Planet Fitness, it's not the greatest thing, but we do have the feature. It is here. We can also do stuff like add regions, so we can take a look at the members and quantity of members and a zip code, and then this will actually plot out different regions and color code it by club. So this is our basic 3D member plot. It's really popular. Everyone seems to love it. It's really informative. So that pretty much sums it up. I touched base on everything that I wanted to. I appreciate you taking the time out to watch this video. I hope you found it informative and intriguing. Again, I do have to stress, this is not everything we can do. This is just scratching the surface. If there's any kind of reporting that you need us to replicate or produce, please do not hesitate. We're more than willing. I hope we have the pleasure of doing business in the future, and if there's anything in the meantime, Andrew will get you my email address and phone number. Please do not hesitate to contact me.